Former BioWare developer says EA is moving towards open-world microtransaction focus. A former BioWare gameplay designer gave his input on the closure of Visceral Games and EA's new development focus in a recent podcast. In the latest episode of Waypoint's podcast, Manveer Air painted a grim picture for future of single-player titles. Speaking from his experience designing Mass Effect 3's multiplayer, he points to EA's microtransaction aftermarket strategy as a key driver for the recent and current projects. Why do you care about that at EA? The reason you care about that is because microtransactions. Buying card packs in Mass Effect games, the multiplayer, he says. It is the same reason we added card packs to Mass Effect 3. How do you get people to keep coming back to a thing instead of just playing for 60 to 100 hours? He has recently come under scrutiny by fans following the closure of Visceral Games on October 17th, shifting development on single-player Star Wars games from the former developers of Dead Space to EA Vancouver, which has historically specialized in sports games. In a blog post from EA Worldwide Studios Executive Vice President Patrick Suderland, the move was explained as a response to player input. In its current form, it was shaping up to be a story-based linear adventure game, Suderland wrote. Throughout the development process, we have been testing the game concept with players, listening to the feedback and about what and how they play, and closely tracking fundamental shifts in the marketplace. It has become clear that to deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come, we need to pivot designs. So all of that means, everybody, is that microtransactions are here, season passes are here, and you better open up your wallet because they're going to take it from you one way or another. Now, I haven't read the article, but I definitely want to read it. Kotaku has an article about the closure of Visceral Games, and it is a very in-depth article that is talking about how the game was in a pretty bad place. So I'm curious to see what it is talking about, see what they go into detail and everything about. So I'm going to read over that and maybe make a video about the closure of Visceral Games, because it just kind of came as a shock. But from what Jason Schreier over at Kotaku was talking about, it wasn't a secret, really. It was kind of, hush and whispers that Visceral wasn't doing very well. So I'm curious to read that article and get my opinion on it. And I know that he says something that Neil Druckmann kind of said that wasn't true. So I'm curious to see what validity everything he has to say on this. SNES theme, new 3DS stealthily appears on Amazon with Super Mario Kart. A Super Nintendo themed new 3DS XL suddenly appears on Amazon this morning, with Amazon confirming its existence just after. It does look really cool, I have to admit. If I needed a 3DS, I didn't have my wonderful, beautiful Switch with Super Mario Odyssey on there, totally would get it, because it just looked good. It just looks really good. The new 3DS, which is a new 3DS. Yep. The new 3DS, which is a new 3DS, but not a new kind of 3DS, bears the designs of elements of the American Super Nintendo. It is an Amazon exclusive, again, Amazon exclusive, and includes a download of Super Mario Kart on the 3DS Virtual Console. The SNES Mario Kart title, the first title in the series, and one of 21 games on the SNES Classic, released last month. Both Japan and Europe have their own versions of the SNES 3DS, though, as those regions had different designs for the SNES, the 3D SES themselves also have different designs. So keep that in mind if you're planning to finish off your 3DS collection. The release is also interesting as Amazon exclusive, as the online retailer and Nintendo had been famously warring for a few years, to the point where Amazon stopped selling hardware directly through Amazon. Popular speculation was that Amazon and Nintendo were butting heads over the tendency of the original 3DS to scratch its own top screen, on Nintendo allegedly telling Amazon to deal with the returns. Though neither party has ever confirmed that be the case, it does seem that the Amazon exclusive variation puts a lot of bad blood to the side, at least. So having the largest online retailer in the world sell these, I think it's a good thing. It's interesting that not just US, but Japan and Europe, they all have their different versions of the 3DS. So of this 3DS. So I think that's pretty cool if you're into that. If you're wanting to collect all of them, there's a ton of 3DSs. So if that's what you want, you're going to have to buy 3 more. So, it is what it is. But with some more Nintendo news, and I actually like this one, GameCube controllers now work with the Nintendo Switch. There's been an unexpected, unmentioned addition to the Nintendo Switch with its 4.0 update. GameCube controllers, when using the Wii U's USB adapters, now work with the system. Twitter user Master Mukin was among the first to discover the new controller support. It's not foolproof as yet, with many users reporting it takes multiple attempts to pair a pad, perhaps explaining why Nintendo hasn't publicized the change. The process is on paper fairly simple. Make sure your Switch is set to accept wired controllers, plug the adapter in, plug the controller in, choose a pair of controllers, then press that. All Switch games appear to be compatible with the GameCube controllers, although there's a caveat: you won't be able to use the ZL command or the home button. Naturally, the addition led to speculations to see the long release of the GameCube Virtual Console titles or a new version of the famously GameCube pad-friendly Smash Brothers. And I know this isn't in the article, but the 4.0.1 update to the software, I think, takes away like any mention of the GameCube in the software. So just be ready for that. Just be ready for that. Next up, Hitman Game of the Year edition includes Patient Zero campaign. It's much different having to do all the switching, but I can do it because I'm awesome. Hitman developer IO Interactive's first release as an independent studio is a Game of the Year edition for Hitman, a title that originally tinkered around with various release models before finishing its first full season a year ago. This Game of the Year edition includes the first season as well as the new Patient Zero campaign, three themed escalation contracts, 3 new suits with weapons, lightning enhancements, and more. Lighting enhancement, not lightning. Patient Zero tasks Agent 47 with a taking out an infected target over 4 missions before he spreads a deadly virus. Hitman Game of the Year edition is out digitally on November 7th for PS4, Xbox One, and PC for $60. But if you already own the game digitally or on disc, you can get a Game of the Year upgrade for only $20. This upgrade is also available to anyone who purchased all the episodes individually or the intro upgrade pack combo. Even if you don't get this new edition, there's already released title is getting an update complete with new contracts, mode feature, and redesigned UI and other additions. So I love that games are getting more support, that they're getting new content, and yes, they're going to charge you for this content, but they've been slowly putting out more, and they've always been supporting this game. So I love that. And recently IO has parted ways with Square Enix. Excuse me. And I'm surprised that they got to keep the Hitman IP, but they did, and apparently they're getting to keep all of it because they're releasing this Game of the Year version. And I think it's if you like the Hitman game and it's only just an upgrade of $20 to get the 4 more missions, I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good price point. It's not, super expensive or anything, and they're not leading you down the path. And I know this kind of sounds like, oh, well, he's backtracking on his season passes and all of that. You got your first season. Like, you bought that, you know what you were getting. You were getting those 4 things, and then this is extra on all of that, and that's DLC and all that good stuff. But it's nice to see that a company is supporting their stuff and they keep making stuff, and they've done a lot of free stuff with the game as well. So I good on you, IO Interactive. Good on you. PUBG is getting a physical release for Xbox One. PlayerUnknown's Battleground will be getting a physical edition with a release for its Xbox One version of the game. When that version release is still unknown. Xbox One will be the first console the game releases on, though it's been most popular game on Steam for a while now. How long Microsoft's console exclusivity deal lasts isn't known. Bluehole Studio also recently announced vaulting and climbing will be coming to the test servers in November, so hopefully those features make their way into the regular servers in time for the Xbox One release. So you you see that this game is continually in the headlines, that we're always talking about it on the show, and we haven't even played it, but PUBG is so popular right now. It is so popular, and Xbox One getting the first take on this, the first console to get it, is a huge thing because it is so popular, and there's so many Xbox fans that want to play it, and as soon as it comes out, they're going to be getting it day one, and you're going to see more and more people playing PUBG. The people that have PlayStation 4, they're waiting on it, and they might even, I think this is what they're wanting, they might even buy an Xbox One. They might get that Xbox One X because it's got that 4K and all of that to play PUBG on a console. So I just think it's very interesting that it is getting a physical release. I kind of figured that was going to happen. But the game is still in early release. Like, it's not even officially out yet. It is still being tested. It's still being improved. So it's still in early release. And then you get into the whole Game of the Year conversation. Do you consider it for a Game of the Year since it's early release? When it officially releases, do you consider it again right there? And then it goes into the kind of like DLC. If a piece of DLC makes a game better, do you take the DLC by itself, or you take the whole game? So it's all of these kind of things going in there, but Xbox definitely lucked out, or, you know, not necessarily lucked out. I'm sure they worked their butts off on it to get that exclusivity. I'm curious to see if it's an indefinite thing. Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Is it 2 years? We'll see soon, but it definitely speaks volumes that they are getting that exclusivity and that they're going to be the first ones on console to have it. Insomniac on Sunset Overdrive 2, we just need to find a publisher. On Twitter, Insomniac's official account responded to a tweet pleading for the publisher sequel to Sunset Overdrive with, "We'd love to, we just need to find a publisher." Sunset Overdrive was an Xbox One exclusive published by Microsoft in 2014 as one of the first big single-player titles for the console. The open-world punk title focused heavily on shooting while traversing as its main gimmick, but managed to capture a lot of hearts with its unique style and fourth-wall-breaking dialogue. Since then, it's been fairly obvious that Microsoft has not been interested in a sequel, as the game did not break any sales records, so a sequel has always seemed kind of unlikely. The fortunate part is that Insomniac was able to keep the IP rights to the series and could work with another publisher to produce a sequel, something that it seems they're willing to do and should be able to do. Insomniac is also hard at work with Sony and Marvel on the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game scheduled for next year, which bears some similarity to Sunset Overdrive in its free-flowing movement style. Now, I never got to play Sunset Overdrive. It's one game that I have, but I just never have gotten to it yet. So I'm looking forward to one day. I'm not promising that I'll ever get to it. Maybe getting to play it, but I know it didn't break sales records, but a lot of people like it. Insomniac is always really good with their games, and Spider-Man definitely looks really good. And for them to want to go back to that world, they want to go back to Sunset Overdrive, it says a lot that they really loved that game, that was kind of a passion project almost for them, and they're just needing somebody to publish it. So maybe after we see Spider-Man release and they support that for a while, that they crank up production on the second Sunset Overdrive. And I hope they do not get in bed with EA or Warner Brothers to publish this, because I'm not even going to get on the tangent today. Not even going to get on the tangent. I don't have anybody to reel me in.